our anchor is welcoming you, Chris, right now. We'll start with Damascus with Mr. Khalid Al-Aboud. He's an MP in the Syrian Parliament. How did you read the Mr. Obama's speech and Mr. Rouhani? First, Mr. Khalid Al-Aboud is welcoming you, Chris. He is saying that I think the United Nations, the General Assembly has become very clear, and not for the Syrian crisis only, but for all the area. And it seems that there are many important titles right now. So if we go back a little bit, for 1 year, we would see that the titles were not clear, were not obvious at that time. I think personally that there is a very important entangle right now. The Iranians, the Russians, they are doing their best in order to help Syria, and I think the Americans have retreated, have pulled back recently, because they failed for 4 years, and now they are paving the way for the Russians and for the Iranians to do something in Syria. That's what I understood from Mr. Obama's speech and Mr. Rouhani and Mr. Putin's speeches. Chris, this question is for you. Our anchor is, do you agree with Mr. Khalid Al-Aboud that the Americans have retreated and there is weakness in American speeches, particularly Mr. Obama? And what was the new in President Obama's speech, particularly towards Middle East and Syria? Please, Chris.
Greetings and thank you all for having me on this program. Whenever I hear President Obama or anyone from the United States government or anybody, representing the United Nations for that matter, speak, I know that it's mostly lies. And the crisis in Syria was created, and it wasn't created by the Syrian people. It was created by outside forces. It was created by the United States and more exactly, the institutions that control the United States, military and financial institutions, and that would be the United Nations, the Federal Reserve Bank, and the Bank for International Settlements. And they created this crisis because they want to destabilize the region, and they're doing this on behalf of Zionist interests, the interests of the State of Israel. And what I hear when I hear President Obama speak is I hear nothing but lies. I hear him talking out of both sides of his mouth. And the United States started bombing missions in Syria, but they also financed and trained ISIS or Daesh or ISIL or whatever they want to call the terrorist organizations. And when I hear the United States and even the Russian president talking about terrorism, I know one thing is for sure. They are the real terrorists. The United Nations was formed 70 years ago, and in the 70 years since the formation of the United Nations, there have been 140 international wars. And since the United Nations was formed to end wars, they have failed in their mission, or failed in their stated mission. But what I know is that the United Nations and Russia and the United States and China, they all are dancing to the same tune, and they're all taking their marching orders from the same place, and that's about one world government and the ending of freedom. Barack Obama talked about freedom. This government we have in the United States is 100% corrupt. and it is a police state. We have no freedom. We have no freedom of the press here. We can't go on television in the United States and talk real truth, because the institutions that control the United States government, they're 100% unconstitutional. And they take their orders from the United Nations and the Bank for International Settlement. So when somebody's nation is getting...
Chris, thank you very much.
Thank you
very much, Chris. We really appreciate your information. The sound is much better today. Thank you very much. The question is for Mr. Mozotov in Moscow. He joined us just now. What are the letters and the Mr. Putin wanted to convey, and the messages Mr. Mozotov is talking? I think that the sound is very bad from Moscow, but I am doing my best, Chris. He is saying that all these mistakes, all these deviations from the international community, because Russia up to this moment, that what the American and the French have done in Syria are not legitimate, and there is no consent from the Syrian government, and there is no coordination between those countries and between the Syrian army. And it seems that there is an intention, as Mr. Putin said, that they are targeting the Syrian state, not Daesh or ISIL. And all those terrorists in Jordan and in Lebanon, they were sent to fight the Syrian government, not the ISIL. And they said that the American trainers, they are joining the terrorist group, and for that reason he is concluding, Mr. Putin is concluding, that the United States is practically not rushing and bringing the terrorists up. I am surprised that Mr. Putin did not go to the detail, but I think he managed to defeat the Americans, particularly the Mr. Barack Obama. 2 days ago, Mr. Putin said talk to television, but those television, Western television, did not or have not broadcast what Mr. Putin said 2 days ago. So there are restrictions on the American, as you respectable guest from America said. And Mr. Putin has insisted. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. The question is for Mr. Khalid Aboud right now in Damascus. When you talk today, Mr. Obama, he said that Mr. Barack Obama said the United States is ready to cooperate with other countries such as Russia and Iran to solve the Syrian crisis. Do you think he was serious? Mr. Khalid Aboud is talking, yes, I think this aggression against Syria has entered many phases, maybe this phase which we are in right now. One step for Obama is in that, and the other step is for, or other foot is for Russia. I think those who are controlling the United States right now, last year when they were leading a coalition against Daesh or ISIL, they didn't go directly to face ISIL, but they invested terrorism in order to defeat the Syrian state, in order to be collapsed. So, but the other foot, the other foot. Just I want to say that it is trying to monitor the sincerity of the Russian against those terrorists. I am telling you, Mr. Obama cannot do through what America has to act outside this coalition. So, they do not care about the humanity, of course. As a respectable guest from America said, I think Mr. Obama and his team, they are in a very need to join this coalition. Why? Because I think with regard to this case, that Mr. Obama needs to tell the American people and the public opinion that the Republicans could not do anything, so the Democrats only managed to defeat the ISIS. For that reason, Mr. Obama wants to deal with Iran and Russia. Chris, this question is for you. Did you realize that there was a change in the American policy, particularly towards Iran? A couple minutes ago, Mr. Obama said he was ready to deal with Iran to solve the Syrian crisis. And as you know, the United States was refusing Iran to go to Geneva. How do you comment on that, Chris, please?
Well, as I said before, I don't trust anything that the United States government says, and I have a good reason for that, because I live in the United States, and I know our government is 100% corrupt. That being said, the Iranian government does not have a Rothschild-run central bank. It is not compliant with the Basel III protocol, and it's not a member of the Bank for International Settlements. I would caution Iran in dealing with the United States in any way. But that being said, I would love to think that the United States would not have a adverse policy to the Republic of Iran, because Iran has not gone around and spread warfare throughout the world like the United States, acting on behalf of their Zionist leaders that run the central banks of the world and that control the United Nations. So I think it's important to tell the truth. I think it's important to cut through all the nonsense that most folks hear in the media. And I would say it would be great if the United States were to coordinate moves and work towards peace. But I don't believe that's the case, because as of weeks ago, we were talking about the United States and giving weapons to Turkey and the United States to bomb Syria. So I don't know what's changed in a couple weeks, but I would not trust anything that the United States government does. And with all due respect to my colleagues in Russia and for that matter all across the world, I don't trust a KGB agent that runs the government. So I don't trust that this is anything more than the banks of the world, the central bank of the world, funding all sides of a military conflict, like it always does.
Chris, thank you very much. Thank you. Let me go to Moscow right now. Thank you very much. Mr. Putin has asked a very broad coalition. To what extent do you think this would be successful? Mr. Motozov is talking. I think there are the Iranian and the Russian initiatives, and of course in Iraq there would be a leadership which would gather Iran, Russia, Iraq, Syria, and the center would be, I think the headquarter would be in Baghdad. This coalition is open for everyone. don't care whether America would, other Europeans would contribute, but I doubt that America has good intention in that, because America is still interfering in the domestic affairs of America. And if America went ahead with that, I think there would be confrontation with the Russian troops in Syria without any ground assault. I think offensive. There won't be. Those terrorists wouldn't be defeated. That's what I believe. We always. I personally, I was doubting the American, but of course, America was refusing to bring ISIL or Daesh to the Security Council and presented as a terrorist group. So America was refusing. They wanted a Daesh or ISIL to go to Damascus, but they failed. After 4 years, now they want to participate in the Russian coalition. And Mr. Obama has said today that he is ready to cooperate with Russia and Iran. And I think because of the withstanding of the Iraqi army and the Syrian army, that has encouraged the Russian troops to go in Russia and participate in the military actions against ISIL. I think this is all because America has faced a very strong political will, and Putin will not. Okay, thank you very much. The question is for Mr. Khalid al-Aboud in Damascus. Even Mr. Obama has not declared openly that America would be willing to join this coalition. Mr. Khalid al-Aboud is talking, as I told you a couple of minutes ago, that this guy, Mr. Obama, is putting one foot in the previous state and the other foot in the upcoming state. What does he want? He is going to do to invest in the Russian initiative. So he's not going to give everything to the Russians or the Iranians, but he wants to invest in order, because we think that President Obama and his team they are in a crisis, in a real crisis. So they are looking for victory before the presidential election. Mr. Obama knows very well if he went to the coalition under the leadership of Russia or Mr. Putin, so this would be a defeat. So he wants other cards in other areas. As I told you, this man wants a number of victories and a number of dossiers in order to win the election. He needs the votes from the American people. He wants to pass something under the table. So, but Mr. Putin said that he would not go alone, as Mr. Obama did. So he would go with the Iraqis, with the Syrians, with the Iranians as well, and any other country. So in this coalition, Mr. Putin is opening the gate for all the countries if they were sincere to face this cancer, which is the terrorists. I think Mr. Obama is gambling with Mr. Putin. Thank you very much. Chris, this question is for you. There was an invitation from Mr. Rouhani, the Iranian president, to set up a coalition against the terrorism within the United Nations. To what extent the Americans would react to this invitation by President Rouhani? Please, Chris.
Okay, really quickly, I'd like to distinguish between America and the United States government, and that's very important when answering this question, because when talking about terrorism, the United States government is the #1 exporter and creator of terrorism. And when I say the United States government, they're run by the Zionist institution and the Zionist state of Israel. And the Zionist state of Israel and the United States created Al-Qaeda. They created ISIL, that y'all call Daesh. So when the 9/11 attacks occurred, that was the biggest terrorist attack in the United States history. That was carried out by the state of Israel and the treasonous traitors within the United States military. So there's absolutely no way that the United States is going to cooperate with President Rouhani when it comes to fighting terrorism, because the #1 tactic of the United States government is terrorism. And I would say the same for the state of Russia too, because I'm not going to exclude Russia or China from calling their government terrorist as well, because they participate in the wars, they participate in United Nations sanctions. The Russian government carries out war crimes against the Chechen people. They invaded Georgia. So this is just the millionaires and billionaires of the world taking over the governments of the world and pushing forward their agenda and pretending to be opposed to one another just so they can send their young people to die in wars and to destabilize certain regions in order to gather their natural resources. The governments of the world are terrorists, and it's not just the United States, but the United States is one of the top terrorists in the world. There would be no ISIS without the United States. There would be no Daesh without the state of Israel. There would be no ISIL, or Daesh without the Bank for International Settlements financing this. And without the Bank for International Settlements financing the state of Russia, there would be no opposition to it either. So this is all just a big charade. This is a circus. And the purpose is to enslave the people through death.
Thank you very much.
This is a one-world government.
Another point, Mr. Chris. The question is for Mr. Mozotov in Moscow. Thank you very much, Chris. There is a consensus, Western consensus, for Bashar Assad to remain. What is the reason? After 4 years, is it because of the entry of the Russian government and sending latest weapons to Syrian army that pushed this that created this change? Please, Mr. Mozotov. Mr. Mozotov is talking from Moscow. Yeah, the Russians are very serious in this case, and they send weapons. Yes, I think in order, that was a message for the Western countries. That was one point. The other point is that the Russians have realized and saw the thousands of refugees who reached Europe. And what we are seeing on the Twitter and the Facebook and on the internet, they were asking the refugee to go to Germany, not to France, not to Hungary, because of the high pensions, high wages. Mr. Mozotov is talking about the role of Germany, but the sound is very bad. Chris, I'm trying to hear what is possible in order to interpret. He is saying that America is encouraging the refugees, the Syrians, to go to Germany because the German economy is very strong and they want to destroy this country. Unfortunately, that's what I understood from the influx of the immigrants and the refugees to Germany. all this Syria, Iraq, Libya, it means that Europe is going to change in the future. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Mazurtov. Now the question is for Mr. Al-Aboud in Damascus. Do you see, Mr. Aboud, this understanding between Russia and America has come very closer than any other time, particularly if we look at Mr. Obama's speech and Mr. Obama's speech, and there was a statement from Ms. Shaban, Mrs. Butayna Shaban in Syria about this. Mr. Carter Aboud is talking. I think yes, of course. I think we are very close. If we compare that to 4 years ago, but we must be careful. This understanding will not come tomorrow morning. Your questions was very good, very important with regard to Mr. Obama's position. Understand, we have not to forget that the investment and the violence and I do agree with you, respectable guest from America. Yes, we have to distinguish between the American people and the American administration or American government and the political team which is leading the United States. Yes, of course, we are very near right now, but there are some important things we have to consider them. There are political groups in the Western country which do not care about humanity and human being. We are still in this battle. We are leading this battle on the political level and military level. And when we defeat them, when we defeat them, and Mr. Obama's team realizes, and the Western country realize that their interests would be touched by the others, of course they will go to a compromise with the Russians. You have the Iranian experience. They stopped against, they confronted Iran for more than three decades. But when they realized that they were losing, they signed the treaty with the Islamic Republic of Iran. Those countries will not accept any understanding. Chris, this question is for you again. About with regard to the United Nations, this is the 70th anniversary. Do you think that the United Nations has a role in solving the international crisis, or has it lost this role? Please.
I think it definitely never had the role to solve any crisis. The United Nations purpose is not to stop war. It's not to solve problems. It's to cause problems. The United Nations, the goal of the United Nations is to form a one-world government. Some here in the United States call it the New World Order. And all the nations of the world are dancing to the tune of the United Nations. The United States military takes its orders from the United Nations. It doesn't take its orders from the Congress or the President. The President and the Congress take its orders from the international body called the United Nations. As I said before, the United Nations was formed 70 years ago to end all wars, and since then there have been over 140 wars. So it's doing the opposite of what it says it's going to do, but that's the purpose. This is about saying one thing and doing another. It's about fooling the people. And the United Nations has never and will never solve any problems. It only creates them. It enslaves the planet. It works on behalf of its banking arm, the IMF, the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, and the World Bank, and the Bank for International Settlements. And it's not supposed to solve any problems.
This would be the last question. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you represent this because this was a special program. It took around 35 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
The question is for Mr. Mozotov. Why does Mr. Putin insist on the legitimacy of Mr. Bashar al-Assad? Every time he says that he is legitimate. Yes, Mr. Mozotov is saying that Mr. Putin insists on the international law. The United Nations Charter does not allow any country, even the United States, to interfere in the domestic affairs of any country. But unfortunately, the United States allows itself to go ahead in that. But don't forget that in the Security Council there are 5 members with the right of veto. They can use the veto, 5 members against the American projects. So, if there was no veto for China and for Russia, so America could have gone too far. But today the situation has changed. The situation has changed, and they know very well that they cannot do anything against any country with the approval of Russia and China. Thank you very much, Mr. Mozotov, and Mr. Krasnowski, thank you very much. We really appreciate your presence and your participation. Hopefully I can come in the future. My regards to the family. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Ja, die ben